So, are you willing to negotiate
Well,
on
what
that
they're
issue?
really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. You know, we just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country.
So why not
you know, there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Secretary Hexer is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia.
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting. They're not sure why.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why? Is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
And what is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, you know, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. You know, I rebuilt the military during my first term, even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something really interesting this week about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had taken.
Yeah, they have a shot at it because Russia.
What prompted you to change your thoughts on that?
Well, because I've been watching the way what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. He's killing people for no reason whatsoever. And they are doing very poorly, considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week. And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 years of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place. 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that work, they've taken over very little. So now I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars. In fact, we have a great leader coming. We have the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming and the Field Marshal. Pakistan Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now. I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join they actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please, behind you. I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
Mr.
Yes, please.
Jasmine Crockett recently
Jasmine Crockett. Remember what I said? Is she a relation to the late, great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one because she shouldn't even be in the crowd. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson. Between her and Ilman Omar and the group. You know, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he didn't want her. He said, "I don't want her." Okay, what else? Go ahead. Let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
She compared ICE raids to slave patrol. I want to ask you.
To slave?
To slave patrol. I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for members of Congress who make these types of comparisons or use this type of language.
Well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people. Look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics. They have policies that nobody's going to buy. And, I see what's going on in New York. We're going to have perhaps a communist mayor because it's split up. You know, if the people would get together and have one candidate, they'd have, I think, a pretty good chance. But it looks like maybe they're not going to do that. But we're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become president, it was a great place. But it was the beginning of bad things because we had de Blasio had just started as mayor, and I said, this guy's this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management. Can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach. The two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell is what they do. But that was the beginning, and now we're going to go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be honest? I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover because sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's politically, it's probably a very good thing.
Mr. President, can I ask you about immigration, crime, and the World Cup? Actually, so
that's a lot of.
You have a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation move, as well as your crime initiatives. Some of those cities.
I don't think they're very much.
But some of those cities have World Cup games. Yeah. Seattle, San Francisco.
They're going to be very. They're going to be very secure.
But could those games move if they don't cooperate with your crime push?
Well, that's an interesting. I guess, but we're going to make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics and that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington, D.C. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington, D.C. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down your street with your wife, your daughter, your son, and you're not going to be. We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back. And we have this city in great shape. There was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it, and here I am. Look, Washington, D.C. is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference. The grass looked great. Everything looked great. We had a lot of our National Guard, and we didn't ask them to do it. They did it themselves. They're proud. They're great. And they were picking up paper. They were cleaning. The place looked really beautiful. So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city. Absolutely, we'll take the world. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If, like the governor of Illinois, who is, look, between last week and the week before, 11 murders, and 38 people were shot. Then he gets up and he says, this is a very safe. And then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because cash put, about 5 months ago, a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in, and they've lowered it a little bit, you know, like 20, 25%, which isn't good enough, but it's a good start. But that was only put there because they're preparing for us to go in. And they've done, by the way, they've done a good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25, it's because the FBI was here. So, no, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup, or for the Olympics, you know, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not going to happen, yeah.
Mr. President, Director Patel this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas had been using an app to track ICE. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or get them removed or any?
Well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit, why that's so important. But these are great patriots, the ICE, and what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden and his group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs, they're very solid people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad I prefaced it. But they're great. We have a great cabinet. We have great people. And he didn't have great people. He had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan. Look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected before. I think we're respected at a level, and a year ago it was a dead country. We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next subject, can we?
This executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals. We are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are, and our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Who
Pam?
specifically do you want to target?
What?
Besides Antifa, is there a specific group or person you're targeting in this?
Any organized group.
Any organized
Any
group?
organized group who are committing these crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury. You know what law enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership? He's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury. We're working with Homeland Security. Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, combined are working, and with state and local government, to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who were committing acts of violence, who were shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil, and it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
But Madam
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it. Every night, and this has gone on for years, they just burned the place down, and you know, the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4-inch plywood. They don't put storefronts in because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators. Right. These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, and we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, why don't you defend? Let's see you defend them, Jeff.
No, I'm not defending anyone. I just want, so that we can just explain this in our stories, could you name a couple?
You don't explain it right, though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros,
Yeah.
what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. Maybe I hear about a guy named Reid Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know. Maybe could be him. Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're going to find out. And if they are funding these things, they're going to have some problems because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad. Okay, yeah, please.
Mr. General, can you, Mr. President,
can you
are you,
Who you
Mr.
with?
President,
Who you with?
I'm with the Center Square. Sarah Roderick-Fitch is my name. Sarah, there's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic terror, or now a domestic terror organization. It's also international. I know the Netherlands is looking at also designating them a terror organization.
Right.
Have you been working with your intel community and your DNI to possibly expand that to making them, designating
Yes,
them an
we have.
international terror
Yeah,
organization?
we have been. Yep. It's an international. In many cases, it is international.
Mr.
Yeah.
President, on Antifa, if someone takes to the streets of America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is. But if they kill somebody, which they do, I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there, and that's what they want. They want anarchy. Like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city, I was going to go out, and we were going to do a big number. They heard that, and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But, you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay, too, because we're paramount, and we will do what we have to do. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make we're going to make as many as we can, and usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little, but it is when you're talking about the kind of crime and killings and murders that you hear in Chicago. But we're going to get it. Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific, who's a great guy, started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started in a caboose, and now he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. But he's a great guy. But he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." The way he said it, I said, boy, it really hit me. You know, here's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad, and he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years, and he said, "Sir, don't lose Chicago." And the way he said that meant a lot to me, and we're going to go into Chicago very soon. We're going to take care of Memphis. We're going to take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're going to take care of that one, and just like we did Washington, D.C., and we're going to do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
Mr. President, we heard there could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment, or Madam Attorney
I
General?
don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about
We
that?
can't comment on that.
Yeah.
Madam Attorney General, can you comment on a New York
don't
Times,
get
Madam
indicted?
Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked the attorneys to target a George Soros-funded group, and is this executive order that you just signed a part of that effort?
I'm not going to comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every. In fact, sometimes they say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read. Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and So, I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's go.
Thank you, Press.